So welcome to the deep dive,
The deep dive.
where we take what you want to learn about and pull out all the good stuff. So you're well informed, no time wasted.
Efficient and effective. That's the goal.
Absolutely.
And today,
Today we're going deep right into psycho-cybernetics, specifically the new psycho-cybernetics.
you flagged this one, said it was important to you.
Yeah, it really resonated with me.
And flipping through, it's clear why. This book lays out this whole vision of limitless living.
Limitless living. I like that. Right. And what got me, just looking at the contents, is how many areas of life this is supposed to affect.
Oh, yeah, it's not just one thing.
We're talking weight loss.
Yeah.
Like actually getting better at golf.
Really? I'm terrible at golf.
Well, maybe this is the answer. But it goes on. Boosting sales, nailing public speaking, even writing that book you've been thinking about.
Wow, that's quite a range.
Right. So the big idea is these internal principles, how you think, can have huge effects outwardly.
Exactly. It's about aligning your inner world with your outer goals.
And it's wild to think the original Psycho-Cybernetics, it became a classic without some huge marketing push.
That's interesting.
That staying power means it's got to be tapping into something fundamental about us, right?
Makes you think. It suggests there's some universal truth there that resonates with people across generations.
So you laid out your mission for this deep dive pretty clearly.
Yeah.
It's about grasping the strongest ideas from this book and figuring out how you can actually use them to, boost your own growth, achieve your goals, that kind of thing.
That's it exactly. It's not just about understanding the concepts, but applying them in a practical way.
Okay, let's unpack this thing. And it feels like the foundation, the starting point, is self-image.
Absolutely. That's where the book really kicks off. It's bold, calling self-image the key to limitless living.
The key.
Yeah, that's a strong statement. It even quotes Bruce Barton about believing in something superior within yourself, something beyond your current situation, really sets the stage.
I like that. It's about seeing your potential even if it's not visible yet.
Exactly. And the author describes this revolution in psychology, late 60s exploding in the 70s. That's when the first Psycho-Cybernetics came out.
A revolution. So what changed? What real-world effects did this have on people?
Well, the book's full of stories like this sales agent. They felt stuck, couldn't sell past a certain point, convinced themselves of it.
We've all been there.
Right, but they shifted how they saw themselves as a salesperson. Their self-image changed, and their sales shot up.
Just like that.
It suggests those limits were self-imposed all along. We also hear about students labeled bad at math, English.
Oh, I hated those labels in school.
But by changing how they saw themselves, their own abilities, they started excelling. Even a student told they had no aptitude for English went on to win a literary prize the next year.
Wow, that's incredible. So what you believe you can do shapes what you actually do.
That's the takeaway, yeah. Your self-image acts as a sort of blueprint for your results.
And there's even a story about a prisoner, right? Turned his life around.
Yeah, labeled incorrigible, totally resistant to change.
It sounds hopeless.
Right. But practically overnight became a model prisoner, got paroled, successful life outside.
What caused that?
The author points to these internal shifts. Self-perception changing leads to huge behavioral changes, different outcomes, and not just in this case, similar stories for decades.
So even deeply ingrained patterns.
Can be broken. If the self-image shifts fundamentally,
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
it does.
It's not just about, positive thinking. It's deeper. How you see yourself at the core.
Exactly. And the author, being a plastic surgeon, had this unique observation about patients. Really intriguing.
What was that?
People getting facial surgery, new faces, literally.
A whole new you.
You'd think so, right? But some, they acted the same, felt the same, like nothing changed. Others, new identity, self-worth bloomed. And some, even with visible change, insisted they looked the same.
How's that even possible?
It's a puzzle, right? But the point is, your internal picture, it's stronger than the external. What you see in your mind matters more.
So it's not just the outside changing.
Not at all. How you see yourself in your mind, that's the powerful part. Shapes your attitudes, your actions, how you perceive the world.
And that's where Psycho-Cybernetics comes in.
Right there. It gives you steps, practical ones, to liberate your self-image. Activate what it calls the automatic success mechanism.
Automatic success mechanism. That sounds pretty key.
It is. But before that, the book touches on the science a bit. The subconscious mind.
The mysterious subconscious.
Right. The brain, billions of neurons, more than stars in the galaxy. The book admits we don't fully know how the mind works, but uses a good analogy. Compares it to a computer. GI go, garbage in, garbage out.
I've heard that.
So what we feed our subconscious, our beliefs, self-perceptions.
That becomes the output.
Exactly. It affects our actions, the results we get, often automatically, without us thinking about it.
So self-image is the garbage in, and our habits, results, that's the garbage out.
You got it.
Okay, makes sense. Now tell me more about this automatic success mechanism.
So the idea is this mechanism, it's already in us, it's natural, works perfectly, but how well it works depends on the data it gets.
Data, meaning...
Our beliefs, that self-image you get, if it's inaccurate, negative,
No.
the mechanism will still work perfectly.
Towards those negative things.
Exactly, like a guidance system. Wrong coordinates, you get to the wrong place, even if the system's perfect.
So we need to make sure we're feeding it the right information.
That's the key. Like in Fighting the Inner Dummy, great book, we've all got this inner irrationality to deal with. So the mechanism itself isn't bad, it's what we've programmed into it. Might need an upgrade.
So we already have the tools for success.
We do, just gotta make sure they're pointed in the right direction.
Now, who's actually benefited from this? The book mentions quite a few examples. Athletes, right?
Big time. Way back, 1967, reports said these principles were part of the Green Bay Packers' success Lombardi era.
Legendary team.
Right. And even now, college coaches, places like University of North Texas, use these ideas with their athletes.
So harnessing the mental side, it affects physical performance.
Definitely.
And it wasn't just sports, right? Salespeople are big on this, too.
Huge. Zig Ziglar, big name in sales training, straight up endorsed Psycho-Cybernetics in his book. Said self-image is directly linked to how well you sell.
That makes sense. Confidence probably helps in sales.
It does. Ziglar said a strong self-image helps you bounce back from rejection. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Dr. Maltz himself said self-esteem, a positive self-image, that's the goal of therapy. And there are even hints at studies of salespeople who overcame physical limitations, perceived flaws, by changing how they saw themselves.
Interesting. So believing in yourself is crucial in sales.
And probably in most things.
The book also talks about scrapbooks of inspiring people. What's that about?
So the idea is consciously surround yourself with the qualities, the achievements you admire. You seek out biographies, autobiographies, study these people's lives, past and present, doesn't matter.
Like creating your own Hall of Fame.
Exactly. It's like building a team of mental mentors. You get so familiar with them, their thinking, almost like you can have conversations with them in your mind.
And getting advice from the greats.
Exactly. So you internalize those traits, those aspirations.
Like building your personal board of advisors.
Love that. Okay, so we've got this automatic success mechanism in us.
Yeah, how do we actually, wake it up, point it where we want to go?
Well, the book says this mechanism, it's way more advanced than animal instincts. It's not just survival, it's creativity, problem solving, personal growth, that kind of thing.
So more than just fight or flight.
Exactly. It's our human potential to create, innovate, constantly become more.
And the book uses some vivid examples, right?
Yeah.
Like the story of Starbucks, Howard Schultz.
Perfect example. His vision wasn't just selling coffee, it was the whole experience. The Italian espresso bars, the romance, the joy, the community.
Yeah, I see. The whole atmosphere.
Exactly. Those stores today, the design, the feeling you get, that came from his imagination. And he famously said, if it captures your imagination, it will captivate others.
So a strong vision, fueled by imagination, it can create something real.
And lasting, too, like Walt Disney, another great example.
Yeah.
When you look at Disney's attractions, any of them, the level of detail, it's staggering. It all started in his imagination. Mike Vance, who worked for Disney, then Apple, GE, he talks about the imaginative leadership behind it all. Creating those experiences, like the Blue Bayou restaurant inside Pirates of the Caribbean, you know?
Taking you to another place entirely.
Right. It shows imagination isn't just daydreaming. It's crucial to making big ideas happen.
And the book makes this cool comparison, our minds to computers.
It does. And while acknowledging how much computers have advanced since the early cybernetics days...
Right. It's amazing what they can do now.
It is. But the book says nothing compares to our imagination, our self-image, that inner servo mechanism.
So we're still more powerful than AI.
It seems so. Even a computer that could do all that, it'd still lack imagination, the human spark.
I like that.
And this leads to idea incubation.
Tell me about that.
So, you present a problem to your mind, your inner mechanism, then you set it aside, consciously, do other things, sleep even. And often, a solution just pops up.
Like working on it in the background.
Exactly. The book even asks, does our mind tap into some universal store of information? We don't know. There's this story about Louis Agassiz, a scientist.
What happened?
He was studying a fossil, couldn't make sense of it, tiny fish impression on a stone, gave up, exhausted. That night, vivid dream, sees the fish perfectly preserved, all details there, wakes up, sketches it perfectly from memory,
Wow,
suggests something's going on subconsciously, right?
definitely. Now, changing self-image. The book says it's not just wishful thinking.
Important point. It has to feel real to you. You can't just force a new image if it doesn't resonate with who you are deep down.
Has to be authentic.
Exactly. When people successfully shift their self-image, they feel like they're recognizing a truth about themselves, not pretending.
Like discovering who you really are.
That's it. Aligning your perception with your potential.
Then there's that case study, a man who isolated himself, super self-conscious.
Poignant one. Man in his 40s, unmarried, stuck in a routine, obsessed over his nose, his ears, thought they made him unattractive.
We all have those things we fixate on.
We do. But for him, it led to withdrawal, fear of social situations, shows how a negative self-image, even about seemingly small things, can shrink your world.
So powerful.
It is. And the book makes this point. You can't escape your self-image.
It's always there.
But you can analyze it, modify it. You can't outrun how you see yourself, but you can look at the inaccuracies, the negativity, and change them. Doesn't have to be years of therapy either. You act, you get results based on what you believe about yourself and the world.
So we're not just stuck with the image we have.
Not at all. We have the power to reshape it.
Then the book gets serious, talking about the consequences of a negative self-image.
Yeah, some tough stuff. Like this young man, driven to despair, took his own life because of how he saw himself. Extreme case, obviously.
Tragic.
It underscores how damaging a distorted self-image can be. The book also mentions anorexia, another example of this negative self-image, almost like a hypnotic power over you.
It's a reminder to nurture a healthy sense of self, for sure.
Absolutely. And there's this interesting parallel the book draws between hypnosis and our own beliefs.
Hypnosis. That's interesting.
So in hypnosis, when someone's convinced a suggestion is true, their behavior changes to match it, often dramatically. The book says our beliefs about ourselves work similarly. When we truly believe something, we act accordingly, often unconsciously.
Like our beliefs are hypnotizing us.
In a way, yeah. And this ties into how our brains react to mental images, like you mentioned earlier, the bear example.
Right. The imagined threat still triggers a response.
Exactly. Our autonomic nervous system, heart rate, breathing, it all reacts to imagined threats like they're real. So real bear, imagined bear, your body responds similarly.
That's crazy.
But it means if you constantly imagine yourself as inadequate, your body reacts like it's true.
Wow. So what we picture in our minds has a real physical effect.
That's the takeaway, yeah. And this is huge when you think about mental practice.
Like athletes visualizing success.
Exactly. Golfers, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, Paul Morrison, they all understood this. Nicklaus would mentally rehearse every shot, feeling the perfect swing. Then he'd use that muscle memory to actually do it.
Amazing.
Morrison, his system helped golfers lower their scores. His whole thing was clear mental picture before you can do it successfully.
So you practice it in your mind first.
Yeah. And this imagining vividly, it imprints on our nervous system, leads to better performance without us even trying almost.
So it's like training your mind to respond in that winning way.
Exactly. And the book takes it further, saying you can even imagine yourself as like a typical well-adjusted person.
What does that mean?
If you struggle with how to act, feel in social situations, imagine someone who's good at it. Picture yourself in their shoes, acting like them, feeling confident.
Like mental role-playing.
Exactly. And it can change your behavior for real.
Interesting. Now, the book talks about fulfilling potential, both from a religious and a secular view, right?
Yeah, it tries to bridge those two sides.
How do they fit together?
Well, the book says, if there's a creator who loves their creation, like a parent loves their children, seeing those children thrive, express their abilities, would be the most satisfying thing, really.
Right, Vince.
And from a humanist view, fulfilling your potential, contributing to the world, that's seen as a meaningful life.
So both sides agree. Reaching your full potential is a good thing.
Right. And to do that, the book gives this prescription, 30 minutes daily for imagination exercises.
30 minutes. What kind of exercises?
You visualize yourself specifically in situations that matter to you, acting successfully, ideally, every detail.
So we're building new memories in our nervous system.
You got it. New neural pathways, essentially rewiring yourself for success. Over time, you start acting differently, automatically, without forcing it.
Because your brain has learned a new way to respond.
Exactly. And the book says this isn't faking it, it's uncovering a truth about yourself.
Interesting way to put it.
It's not being someone you're not, it's challenging those beliefs you accepted as facts about yourself. They might have formed some time ago, but don't have to be true now or for your future.
It's like saying the potential was always there, now you're letting it out.
That's it. And there's this story from Dr. Alfred Adler, shows how powerful these beliefs can be.
Tell me about it.
This young salesman, early in his career, struggled. Got bad territory, worked hard, hit a $5,000 sales goal. But when he got a better territory, more potential, he'd ease off as soon as he neared that $5,000 mark. And the weird thing is, after hitting his limit, he'd get sick, couldn't work the rest of the year.
What?
Yeah, then miraculously recover for the next sales year. His subconscious goal, his belief about his capacity was dictating everything, even his health.
It's like he programmed himself to only achieve that amount.
Exactly. And to drive this home, the book tells a wild story about a voodoo curse. Sounds crazy, right? This well-educated guy gets cursed by his girlfriend in anger. He laughs it off, but later develops a lump on his lip. Doctors say it's harmless, but he gets convinced by a friend that the curse is real. Becomes super anxious, fearful.
Wow.
It shows how strong belief can be, even when it's irrational.
So what we believe can literally affect us physically.
Right. And the book also talks about this feeling being inferior even when you've succeeded.
Well, I know that feeling all too well.
Right. The author admits, even after speaking to big crowds, they felt inadequate compared to other speakers. Not based on anything real, just comparing themselves.
It's that constant comparison trap.
And there's this psychology study. Students told the average person did a task much faster. They got anxious, performed worse. Shows how much negativity and comparison can limit us.
So our self-worth, it's not always accurate. We create these false ideas of inadequacy.
Right. So how to break free? The book emphasizes relaxation.
Relaxation. Seems counterintuitive.
Right. But here's the thing. Habits, both good and bad, form through repetition in a relaxed state. Makes sense to use that same principle to install new beliefs. So physical relaxation leads to mental relaxation, gives us more control over our thoughts, feelings, actions, and just physically relaxing helps us dehypnotize ourselves from negative stuff.
So it's more than just feeling good. It's making your mind receptive to change.
You got it. And the book has advice on those 30-minute visualizations we talked about.
Right, make them more effective.
Exactly. Engage your senses, all of them. Don't just see yourself succeeding. Feel the emotions, hear the sounds, even smells, tastes if you can, and focus on details. The more real it feels to your nervous system, the better.
So make it a vivid experience.
Exactly. Then the book goes on to getting positive results now.
Now, this part seems to push back against the idea that therapy is all about years of digging into your past.
Definitely. In movies, therapy is always this long, drawn-out thing, uncovering childhood stuff, like you got to sign up for years of it.
I can see how that'd be intimidating.
Right. But the book says big, positive changes can happen without all that.
More immediately.
It tells his story. An executive didn't have time for therapy, he thought, but tried focusing on one small change. He hated green beans, never ate them, just consciously tried them, found out he actually liked them, started ordering them all the time.
That's funny.
Right. But shows you can change deeply ingrained stuff without this complex, long analysis.
So sometimes just focusing on the present is enough.
It can be surprisingly effective. And the book talks about learning in general.
Learning.
Any new skill, pitching horseshoes, social skills, whatever. It's about noticing errors, correcting them, till you get it right. Then you remember that success and repeat it. So trial and error, conscious mind involved in the adjustments.
Makes sense. And failures are part of that, but shouldn't be the main focus.
Exactly. Those memories of failing, they're not bad if you're focused on the positive goal you want NOW. Let sleeping dogs lie. Right. Mistakes are just steps, not the destination. Once they've given you feedback, no need to dwell on them.
So don't let those past failures define you.
Right. And the book really pushes back against that thinking of, I failed before, so I'll probably fail again.
Easy to get stuck in that loop.
It says, this doesn't mean our subconscious is forcing us to repeat failures or that we got to erase every bad memory. Feeling like a victim of your past, that's often your conscious thoughts, not your unconscious.
We choose what to focus on.
Exactly. Shift your focus, you change your path, regardless of setbacks.
It even mentions Dorothea Brande, a writer. Increased her productivity by ignoring past failures acting as if it were impossible to fail.
Yeah, she saw these hypnosis demonstrations, read about acting on assumptions, decided to try it. She acted as if the ability was already there, just flowed. No hesitation or self-doubt. Her writing, her sales boomed, even discovered she was good at public speaking.
Just from changing her approach.
And Bertrand Russell, the philosopher, he was similar, super self-critical, dwelling on his flaws, made an effort to become indifferent to himself, focused outwards instead, the state of the world, knowledge, other people.
So, taking the focus off yourself.
And it made him happier, more productive, less draining than all that inner scrutiny.
Makes sense. Now, the book talks about directly challenging our beliefs, right? Like this salesman who was struggling.
Oh yeah, intense fear whenever he had to call on important clients. Through counseling, they found out he unconsciously felt like he was crawling into the prospect's office, abasing himself, basically. They challenged that belief. Are you actually crawling? No. Then why the fear?
Simple, but powerful.
It was. His fear vanished almost instantly. Shows how bringing these illogical beliefs to the surface, questioning them, can change things fast.
So step one is recognizing those limiting beliefs.
Exactly. And the book lists some common ones that sabotage us. Feeling inferior to others, thinking everyone's hostile, seeing the world as dangerous, even believing you deserve punishment.
Wow, those are heavy.
Right. And they create huge obstacles to happiness, success.
So instead of worrying, the book says, reframe that as visualizing what you do want.
Exactly. When you worry, you're using your imagination negatively. Picturing bad stuff. Flip that. Use that same power to picture what you want to happen. Don't force it. Just keep your focus there, the possibility of it.
So the more you focus on success, the more real it feels.
That's the idea. And there's a warning, too. This automatic mechanism, it can work against us, too.
If we feed it the wrong stuff.
Exactly. It's goal-seeking. Feed it negative goals, you get negative results. Like an automatic failure mechanism, the book calls it.
Unintentionally sabotaging ourselves.
It happens all the time. Negative attitudes, imagining failure. It's like we're setting the goal to fail.
Without realizing it.
And it uses stage fright as an example.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
You know, logically, a bad presentation isn't the end of the world. But that fear is paralyzing, shows the power of our beliefs even when they're not realistic.
It's those imagined scenarios getting us.
Right. And don't blindly accept negative suggestions from others either.
Like when people tell you you can't do something.
Exactly. The book says it is not always so. Question those pronouncements.
I like that. It's about taking back your power.
Definitely. And there's this idea of limbic hijacking, our emotional brain taking over. It's like that inner dummy taking charge, like from fighting the inner dummy.
So be critical of what you hear, both from yourself and others.
Exactly. And the key is to concentrate on what you do want, not what you don't want, like Eisenhower during the war.
Right, staying focused on the goal.
Once you know your desired outcome, dwelling on all the ways to fail doesn't help. Eisenhower, he kept his attention on Allied victory, not retreat. Same for us. Focus on what we want to create.
And the book really stresses being present, paying attention. That keep your eye on the ball advice.
Right. It's mindfulness, being engaged in the now. Our conscious mind isn't meant to control every little thing. We get in trouble when we neglect it or when we try to over-control stuff that should be automatic. Pay attention to your senses, what's happening around you right now. Your automatic mechanism gets the right info, responds appropriately.
So it's like keeping your guidance system up to date.
Love that analogy. And modern life, all the communication, stress, information overload.
It makes it hard to stay focused.
It does. Constant connectivity, feeling rushed. It's tough to maintain control, and we're not designed for constant multitasking. Bertrand Russell, he talked about this.
How so?
Tough writing task, a problem he couldn't solve. He'd focus intensely for a while, then let his subconscious work on it.
Underground, he called it.
Yeah, he'd do other stuff, and often the solution would just come to him later.
Like his mind was figuring it out in the background.
And the book uses this analogy about gambling. You place a bet, the wheel's spinning.
You can't do anything to affect the outcome anymore.
Exactly. Same with decisions, actions. Once you've done what you can, worrying doesn't change the result. It just drains you.
So let go of the worry.
Focus on the present. And for creative work, that present moment focus is essential. You can plan for the future, but you can't actually live there, right? Creative living means being present, responding to what's happening and native you.
And the book cautions against getting overwhelmed by all the future stuff we got to do.
It's so easy to do that. Huge to-do list feels impossible. The book says, it's not the work itself that stresses us, it's the feeling that we got to do it all right now. Successful people, they focus completely on the one thing in front of them.
No multitasking.
Not when it counts. Block out distractions. Focus on the task at hand. And even those famous people, like Edison, they used relaxation strategically.
Edison, the guy who seemingly never slept.
Even he took naps. Not just for rest, but to let his mind work on problems. Same with Henry Ward Beecher, a great speaker.
Yeah.
Gave long sermons, used those brief breaks to let ideas form.
So rest can actually boost your creativity.
Seems so. And the book gives this technique, recalling feelings of relaxation throughout the day.
Intentionally relaxing.
Yeah, close your eyes, remember that feeling of deep relaxation, how your body feels, repeat it to yourself, I feel more and more relaxed.
Like a mental trick.
It reduces worry, tension, makes you better at handling stress, and finally focusing on creative stuff, helping others.
Yeah. Seems like good advice in general.
It shifts your focus outward, less dwelling on yourself, your problems, expressing yourself, making a difference. Those are satisfying.
Makes sense. Now, the book has this whole thing about happiness. It seems to say unhappiness doesn't lead to happiness. To be happy, you got to be happy.
It's a bit paradoxical, right? But the idea is dwelling on negativity, feeling sorry for yourself, that's not the path to happiness.
Wallowing doesn't make you happy.
It's actively choosing happiness and now W.
Making that choice.
And we often get unhappy about things that aren't even personal.
Oh, yeah.
Traffic jams, bad weather. We take it personally, like it's aimed at us.
Like the universe is conspiring against us.
Right. But it's not. So don't personalize stuff that's not personal. And the book talks about self-esteem as a shield, a protection.
Against negativity.
Exactly. When you know your own worth, you're less affected by little things, other people's opinions.
It bounces right off.
And it's key to separate facts from opinions, especially about our limitations.
Right. Sometimes those limits are just what other people tell us.
Exactly. The author wanted to be a doctor, was told it was impossible, no money.
A classic story.
But the money situation, that was a fact. Saying they could never be a doctor, that was opinion.
And they became a doctor anyway.
Exactly. Same with later, wanting to study in Germany, open a practice. All opinions, not facts.
So don't believe everything you hear about your limits.
Right. And the book says happiness comes